After one day of the portal being open, how do we feel about the Auburn Tigers?
You are Locked On Auburn, your daily podcast on the Auburn Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, welcome on into Locked On Auburn, your daily Auburn Tigers podcast. I'm your host, Zac Blackerby, and thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day. I'm in a hotel, and we're joined by Charlie 5, Auburn message board legend. So the internet is really just in limbo here on both sides. We just don't know how this is going to go, much like we don't really know how the portal period is going to go. Charlie 5, on yesterday's show, I was talking about what Auburn needed to do to win the first day of the portal. And the guy
lost the first day.
Yeah, I guess so. By the criteria that I said yesterday, if you missed it, I spent half the show talking about how we need to keep Steven Sings from entering the portal. And then we wake up and we check Twitter and it's, Steven Sings enters the portal. I think this is a bigger deal than a lot of Auburn people do. I think the lack of bodies that have played college football in the Jack linebacker room is a bit concerning with Steven Sings leaving, because that list now is currently Jaylen McLoud, and that's it. And I'm very excited about Jamonta Waller. I'm very excited about Joseph Phillips coming in. I think they'll have a role. But now I think it puts more pressure on this coaching staff to go out and get Jack linebackers, which was probably the plan anyway. But that's got to be a focus now. That now becomes one of the more important positions that they need to tackle over the next 4 weeks or so.
So Steven Sings, to me, like the emphasis on him was kind of more of a bird in the hand versus two in the bush kind of situation. He's on the team.
So. Yeah, I think that's.
Yeah, he's on the team, so he's important.
Put it. Yeah.
Yeah, but I kind of feel like that if he's leaving, they've been having these like position meetings and these group meetings. I kind of feel like if he's leaving, he either they didn't really try real hard to keep him, or they may have said, hey, you got a grad transfer. We got somebody in mind we're going to bring in, or, hey, we really think these two freshmen, we want to get them in the rotation. They're probably going to play over you. I don't know that it's a huge deal. I don't know that it's something that I would freak out about. I do understand the body count situation and like having players in that position, but holy cow, at the amount of different dudes that have gone in the portal today, it sort of just seems like if you let a guy go that's there and has time to play, you must have a plan. It's either we're going to play these guys early, or we've got our eye on somebody in the portal that we think we possibly have a good shot at.
Yeah, and there was a bunch of tough conversations between this coaching staff and a lot of these players, right? And I had the opportunity to talk to a few of them. That was just like, hey, we don't think you're an SEC player. Did they have that conversation with Steven Sings? I don't know. But they didn't play him a lot last year, and there were plenty of opportunities where it would have made sense to play him. So maybe they didn't think as highly of him as maybe I thought. I don't know. And I wasn't super high on Steven Sings when he came to Auburn. But just the fact that like there's not other dudes at that position right now is really my main thing. But if they go out and get one or two guys, all of a sudden it's like, okay, I think if they add a Jack linebacker, he will be as good as Steven Sings or better. So it's just more work. It's just more work they got to do. I
mean, there was a Jack linebacker we wanted really bad last year that went to Alabama that didn't play a snap this year. Like, what if that guy goes in the portal? I mean, there's several different options. I think there could be several different options out there. I'm not fretting over a dude who I'm this is no disrespect, but he played 4 games and he had 4 tackles, and they were all solo. He has a great ratio. He has no assisted tackles. So when he makes a tackle, it's all him. So that's a great ratio. But still, this early, I'm just, especially think about this too. The first dudes that go in the portal, like they plant, like they were prepared for this. Like they were almost
totally.
So it's not like it's 4 or 5 days or weeks down the road and you've kind of told this guy, okay, you're our guy, and then he goes in the portal. No, we're talking like the portal's not even open real good. Like the door's still not all the way. Like the
portal ain't open real good.
The portal ain't open real good yet. So and he's still and he burst through the door. So I'm not I get it. I'm not fretting over Steven Sings. I think there's much more opportunity to improve that room, even more so than retaining McLoud, getting the freshman in. I think you can go get you another banger guy that you could rotate in with McLoud and make some noise. Yeah,
and I guess it sweetens that pitch a little bit, right? If you're somebody of the caliber of Jaylen McLoud, who was really exceptional at rushing the passer at a smaller level, it's like, one, look at what we did with Jaylen McLoud. Once he finally got healthy, he was solid. He was really, really good. And two, you're pretty much going to be given that position. And I think somebody can definitely do like what Elijah McAllister did as far as on the field stuff. I think off the field, Elijah McAllister was exceptional, and you're going to have to replace that probably with a couple of dudes. But as far as on-field production at the jack linebacker spot outside of Jaylen McLoud, they can find it. They just got to bring in more dudes. And
absolutely. McLeod's a little bit more. Another thing about McLoud, and maybe this changes next year, I kind of feel like he was a little bit more of a role. He had a specific role. I don't know that he's necessarily was not necessarily a 3 to 4 down, jack. I think he was more of a specialist. So, like, can you go find a guy who's, 250, 255-ish athletic that can play, another Elijah McAllister that can play, that can set the edge, not necessarily a huge pass rush guy, but somebody that's a little bit bigger. That may be the scenario, because Steven Sings was not huge. He was 6'3", 248. He's not that much bigger than McLoud. And I'm just not necessarily. You're right. You got a pitch. You got a pitch to sell right now, and I'm anxious to see the way see where it goes. We're just technically, when you're listening, this is day 2. Day 1 was lit. We're recording this after day 1. Like, it's just going to pick up from here. It's going to be a blast.
I think so. And I just want to reiterate, there's a bunch of Steven Sings in the portal. And for all of you who sent me messages yesterday when you heard that at like the same time he was going to the portal, some of y'all were very creative. It was very funny, and I appreciate it.
Oh, I laugh. I hated it and laughed at the same time. I think I was listening as soon as I got the notification that he went in the portal.
I'm up here at winter meetings with Lindsay, who I did that show with. And he looked over and he sees me sigh, and I'm like, I'm writing the story for Auburn Daily, and he's like, didn't you like talk 5 minutes on the show about how you didn't want him to leave? Yeah, Lindsay, I did. What about
day 1 loss? Day 1 toting the L.
Yeah.
Hey, yeah. We can only go up from here. Go up
Auburn
from here.
Loses day 1 in the portal. No.
Day 1 article recap.
So I guess Jair Shorter has another year of eligibility. We all just kind of collectively missed that, but he entered the portal. Everybody's like, oh.
Why not?
Okay. Malcolm Johnson Jr. entered the portal. I don't think that was too big of a surprise. Amari Kelly, NC Sledge, getting an offer from FAU. Good for him. So
good job.
We'll see what happens moving forward. More guys will certainly enter over the course of the week, you would have to assume.
As meetings progress, I think, possibly DBs were possibly yesterday. So, like, do you start to see if any go? Does that start happening? Is it sort of built off of after meetings and stuff like that? I think that's what you'll start to see.
All right, Charlie 5. There's a million people in the portal. We're going to tell you guys who we want from the portal. That's coming up right here on Locked On Auburn. Today's show brought to you by our friends at Game Time, the Game Time app. Charlie 5. Can you imagine somebody who buys tickets not from Game Time?
I can't. Why would you do that?
No. But if you see people that are like, oh my gosh, how to do all these fun things? How do they possibly afford that? They use a Game Time app. It is so much more cost effective to buy tickets on Game Time. I bought my wife some tickets to a concert of some dude I've never heard of. He's very handsome. I think that's why she likes him so much. But we're going. We're sitting 5th row. And it didn't cost that much because of our friends at Game Time. So head over, use Game Time. They're obsessed. That's what it says. They're obsessed with finding ways to help you save money on tickets.
Get your Music City Bowl tickets.
Game Time.
On Game Time. Yes.
Game Time. Absolutely. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Can you imagine having guesswork with buying tickets? I can't.
Seems dumb.
Yep, seems dumb. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices, guaranteed. Charlie 5, can you imagine buying Auburn gear not from Alumni Hall?
Again, why? Why are we doing this?
Why are you doing it? Why are you doing it? It doesn't make any sense. They've got 3 great physical locations in Auburn, Opelika, and Huntsville. I'm going to be honest. I know the Auburn and Opelika locations are great. I can't confirm that the Huntsville one's great. I'm sure it is. And if you're like, well, Zach, Charlie 5, I don't live anywhere near there. That's not an excuse. It's 2023, almost 2024. We have the internet. You go to alumnihall.com, alumnihall.com. Several of you guys have messaged me saying, hey, I'm at alumnihall.com. I cried because it was such a great experience. I'm like, that's cool.
Tears.
You didn't need to share that, but I'm glad that you did. Do the same. They've got all officially licensed Auburn merch for everything. Men, women, children, animals, pets. Your walls, pets, whatever it is. Alumnihall.com. We love them. We love them. All right, Charlie 5. The player I want most in the portal right now is Purdue wide receiver Deion Burks. On3 put out a report that Auburn is one of several top schools that have already reached out to Deion Burks. Auburn, Texas, Miami, USC, Utah, Washington, Oregon. Top programs. Very, very good programs. Programs that are good with wide receivers. We could learn from them. And so I'm excited about what Deion Burks did at Purdue. Very athletic, very dynamic, and I think could come in and start right away and really help out Perry Thompson, Cam Coleman, and these young wide receivers that are coming in.
I really like Deion. If you go watch his highlight film, the first game of the year, he absolutely dominates Fresno State. But I'm not trying to like belittle anything. It's 4 incredibly electric plays, but he's pretty I guess consistent throughout the whole year. You know, he's going to get you 4 or 5 catches, and he's got a chance to break it every time he catches one. Deion, slot guy. Why not? Yeah. Let's add another.
47 catches, 629 yards, 7 touchdowns. I don't know what that feels like. Just gonna be honest.
Neither does our wide receiver room.
Don't know what that feels like. I'm sure it's great. All right, you've got a few receivers too on your list.
Yeah, I'm very receiver heavy. I think outside receiver is one of the top most important things we need, because I think we're going to lose a ton. I feel like you're only going to bring back Cam Brown. I really like Will Shepherd.
You think Cam Brown comes back?
I think he'll probably be here at least through the spring. I think so. Okay. I think he'll be here at least through the spring. I could be wrong, but if he leaves before spring, I think he's not very smart. I think that would be a very, very bad move. But regardless, Will Shepherd from Vanderbilt, 6'3", 200 pounds, had over 800, close to 700 yards receiving this year. He's been pretty consistent his whole career. Again, big body, outside guy, 8 touchdowns, SEC experience. He's had touchdowns against Georgia, touchdowns against Florida, Missouri. I mean, he's just played tough competition with an anemic offense, and he's produced. And I think that's big. I think he could be your dog outside guy that you could lean on while the young guys step in and get better. I feel like outside receiver, a dog outside wide receiver is your most, probably, if you had to rank, probably at least top 3 most important things to get out of the portal, because you need someone to be able to be there while these young guys, these young mega talented kids grow up. And I think Will Shepherd could be that guy. And I think he likes Auburn. Up until now, I've seen Auburn players tweeting at him. Obviously, Elijah McAllister from Vanderbilt calls him like Mr. Go Up and Get It. Damari Alston is tweeting at him. So maybe this is something that there's some momentum there. I really like Will Shepherd. There's a couple of other outside guys, but he's one that not only I like, but I feel like we got a really good shot at him. So Will Shepherd.
another guy, and this is kind of a smaller school player. Can he elevate his game to the SEC level? But we'll stick with wide receiver here. Robert Lewis from Georgia State. Auburn offered him yesterday, about 5 minutes after he entered the portal. It seems like 70 catches, 877 yards this season, 7 touchdowns. Once again, like, wouldn't it be great to even have just a portion of that via the portal? So that's another name that I'm watching. He's not huge. He's 5'11", 185, so you could probably play him outside, but solid route runner based off of the little stuff that I've seen from him. But the fact that he was offered so quickly after he entered the portal kind of makes you think Auburn had their eye on him. So
yes,
worth looking
I like
at.
him. I like him. Like you said, 70 catches.
Yeah. You've got another receiver to talk about, right?
Yeah, but real quick on Robert. I mean, people want to talk about G5. Oh, let's stay away from G5. Hey, Jamari Thrash, Georgia State, almost had 1,000 yards at Louisville this year. Transferred from Georgia State, and he was their best receiver.
Get him too. Thought we were going to get him last year.
Yeah. There's we could do a whole show about what happened last year, and we might have to do that. But I don't necessarily mind G5. Robert Lewis is a great get. There's so many good wide receivers to choose from. And my number 2 is, I think, the best of all. And he probably should have been number 1, but the only reason he's not is because I kind of think he's a slot guy, and we have so many pretty decent slot guys already on the team. But this dude is unreal. He from the University of South Alabama, the second leading receiver of all receivers, inside, outside, upside down, whatever, all of them. Colin Lacey, South Alabama, 5'10", 190, absolute powder keg. He had over 100 yards receiving in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 games.
I want that. I want that in my life.
1,300 yards receiving. And like, you just get it to him in space and he's gone. He can absolutely fly. 7 touchdowns. He was their go-to dude. I mean, this guy he's just unreal. And another kind of a bonus with him that I think this guy, he was from Faith Academy.
Is that your dryer going off?
Yeah. Laundry's done. Faith Academy in Mobile. His teammate in high school was Shamar James, who's a linebacker, flex linebacker at Florida. There's a lot of upheaval at Florida. Is there a connection here? Could you possibly make a 2-for-1? So I really like Colin Lacey. I think he's explosive. Let me have him.
We need to be calling Lacey.
Calling me.
Yep. There we go.
Love it.
There we go. Call me maybe. One more receiver, and then there's a defensive lineman that I want to talk about. Jared Brown at Coastal Carolina, another wide receiver that Auburn appears to be interested in. Once again, 58 catches, 740 yards, 4 touchdowns. Also, 15 carries for over 250 yards. The season before, almost had 800 yards and 6 tutties. This is a dude who can get the ball and do stuff with it. And so I love that he can bring some different dynamics to the offense, especially with what we saw in the Iron Bowl, some pretty creative ways to get the ball in the receiver's hands. It took too long for us to get to that point, I think, over the course of the season. But with some of the stuff we did with Javarius Johnson,
17 yards a carry.
Yes, I'll take that. I'll take that.
Dude, it's incredible.
It is incredible.
He can fly. He can absolutely fly. And I think if you had to say, Charlie 5, who is the first commit of this class? I would Jared Brown, I think, could possibly be one of the guys. I think he's one that there's mutual interest, like a lot of mutual interest, and he's explosive. I could easily see this dude, and he can play inside and out. 6 foot 190 from Lilburn, Georgia. I guess that'd probably be Parkview High School. Okay. I think that's where he played. Jay Crawford, a lot of great commit from this year. Tons of great players that come out of Parkview High School. Love that connection there. This kid's really good.
Yep. I'm all about that. So Jared Brown, Coastal Carolina, certainly a guy to watch. All right, I want to talk about a defensive lineman that I really want, and then we'll kind of sprinkle in a little quarterback chatter as well. So 2 defensive linemen, some quarterback chatter coming up right here on Locked On Auburn. Today's show is brought to you by our friends at LinkedIn Jobs. Charlie 5, Can you imagine hiring someone for your small business and not using LinkedIn Jobs?
I just think that would be crazy. Makes no sense.
It's like, do you not want a good employee? Do you want to, if you want a bad employee, don't use LinkedIn. Don't use LinkedIn. If you want to go through the same hiring process again in 6 months, don't use it. If you want somebody that's going to help you, let's just be honest. This is the real life transfer portal. LinkedIn Jobs, real life transfer portal. Go get you a guy. You deserve it. You deserve it. Your small business deserves it. LinkedIn Jobs.
Full of 5 stars.
Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Charlie 5, a guy that I want in the transfer portal. I want him like I want oxygen to breathe.
Oh, boy.
And he's not a dude that's going to be like, yes, I'm going to take over games, but he's a dude that's going to make your team better because I think he's just a solid player. And that is Michigan State defensive lineman Derek Harmon. I think he's a solid role player. I think he's a dude that instantly makes his defensive line better, especially if Marcus Harris leaves, which we're assuming he's going to. And I love his game. I love his game. I talked to Matt Sheehan, who hosts Locked On Spartans. I'm like, tell me about this guy. And everything he said, Charlie 5, I fell a little bit more in love with this guy. Just a little bit by bit. I think he's just effective. 6'5", 320 pounds.
I was waiting
Flop it on the line, and let's go to town.
Oh, beef. Let's go.
I'm fired up.
I was waiting for you to read those measurables because I've been thinking about them. Ever since I saw
that juicy boy. You know what I'm saying?
A big dude.
Yeah.
It's like, imagine cloning Jason Jones. That's what you have right there, basically.
I like Jason Jones more than this guy. Let's just get that out there. Let's just get that out there. But
hey, what if you can have 2 Jasons?
I'll take it.
Well, that's what you get. That's what you get out of this guy.
Yeah, no, Derek Harmon, for real, though. I think there's mutual interest, it appears. Auburn has been very aggressive on him as soon as he entered the portal. So that's certainly a name that I'm watching. And that's one of my favorite guys in the portal right now.
Yep. And my guy is also a defensive lineman. And I think if I put him and Jared Brown in the same sort of tier as far as like who could be the first commit for the portal class.
Awesome.
Nate Clifton, Vanderbilt, senior defensive lineman, 6'5", 280. Pretty athletic. He had 5.5 sacks this year on a not good defense. Like they play tough, but they're just not talented. And I mean, I'm saying they're not talented as a unit, not talented overall as a unit. Like
they're just not talented.
Yeah, they're tough. Just they don't have a lot of depth. Nate was one of the bright spots this year. 5.5 sacks. I would love to have another 6'5", 280 dude right there. I mean, you're talking about cloning. You're cloning Jason Jones. I'm cloning Falk. So like, let's just have some athletic. He's probably.
I don't know. I don't know if he's cloning Keldrick Falk, but that's fine.
From a size, they're close. They're close in size aspect. From a size aspect, but
okay.
Another senior. I think we really benefited from Elijah McAllister on the team. Maybe this guy can be sort of cut from that same cloth.
Yeah.
So I like him. I think we like him. I like the production. 5.5 sacks from the defensive line. Bring me Nate Clifton. You got to have some dudes on defensive line. We need both of these guys we're talking about.
I mean, we've got to bring in guys that aren't going to start. Yeah, we've got to bring in guys that are going to rotate on that defensive front. We need them. So I think both of those guys make us way better on the defensive front, and that's not going to be enough. I think you need more than 2 guys. So, and that's not counting the Jack linebacker spot that we opened the show with. So I mean, they're going to need bodies there as well. If we get Clifton, the defensive lineman from Vandy, and we get Will Shepard, the receiver from Vandy, in combination with getting Elijah McAllister last year and Donovan Kaufman a few years ago from Vandy, at what point does Vandy become our farm system?
I don't know if that's necessarily a calling card you necessarily want, but yeah, I mean, I get it. I get the connection. I mean, I'd love to pick off any like team that plays SEC competition. That's even if they don't win
it's
very
valuable.
many games.
Yeah.
If you can pick off their best players, then so be it. Like it just kind of is what it is. I like it.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's more of a sure thing to take the good players from Vandy than the good players from like some G5 program. Maybe that's wrong. I think it's situational. I think there's context needed, but it is what it is. Okay. Some big name receivers entered the portal on the first day of it. Dylan Gabriel from Oklahoma.
Quarterbacks. Yeah.
Yep. What did I say? Did I say something else?
I think you said receivers, but quarterbacks.
I want receivers so bad, Charlie 5. I'm so sorry. Them. Yeah, quarterbacks. Dylan Gabriel at Oklahoma. Kyle McCord, Ohio State. Dante Moore. Interesting. It's interesting. We've seen some Auburn ties to Dante Moore. I don't know if that really makes sense, but it was out there in the in our corner of the internet on day one of the portal period. But as time goes on, I'm still just kind of wondering, like, at this point, I'm not going to be shocked if we just roll into spring with Peyton Thorne as our dude.
Yeah, I mean, you're playing NFL GM right now, and like I know that numbers that people talk about, Auburn's throwing this around, Auburn's throwing that around. There's an amount, like there's a max amount. So the what is the market value, and what do these guys? What do these guys bring at quarterback that's going to make you that much more better than if you were to go load up on, if you could get every one of these receivers that we talked about, or 3 of them, and then 2 of the defensive linemen that we talked about. Otherwise, you're spending it all on a Cam Ward, who I'm just not crazy about in general. I think he's fine. I don't know that he elevates what you have in the wide receiver room, and I don't know that you can get a whole lot because you're going to be he's going to absorb so much of your budget. I think you had a guy in mind that you thought would be worth it, that might be better, might be good enough to elevate the room, and it doesn't seem like that's going to work out with. I think that player was Riley Leonard. I could be way wrong, but and I may be wrong, and we may get a Dante Moore. I don't think that makes sense. I don't think some of the other names that have been thrown out there.
Unless you don't believe in Walker White, the age doesn't make sense.
It does not. I agree 1,000.
Yeah, you want a rental. You want a rental. You want a guy that's going to play for a season, and then next year we're talking about building up this quarterback battle between Walker White and Hank Brown, which is the way it should be, right? Like, okay, we're bringing in quarterbacks that are in the system, and I think this is going to kind of be the world we live in after this year. Or you could go get Peyton Thorne. Like, I still think if Peyton would have stayed at Michigan State and he entered the portal, we'd still be like, yeah, we want him. We want him. So
sure.
I don't know. I know there's a big chunk of the fan base that's upset with what Peyton did this past season. I think he was put in a tough situation, and I'm glad that he doesn't want to like sprint to the portal, honestly, because the Auburn fan base wasn't super nice to him. So props to him for wanting to be here. I think it's great.
No, but like, what if you're able to surround him? What if he affords you the possibility to surround him with the freshman wide receivers that we've seen committed and hopefully will sign, and then you go get you a really powerhouse outside wide receiver or a top-notch slot guy, and then you bring back Rivaldo, and you got Jarquez, and then you can go get you a left tackle or a left guard or somebody big time that can help shore up the offensive line. Like,
no, I'm with you.
And Peyton gives you the opportunity to be able to do that. So I don't know. I get it. I get the rationale behind running it back with him and not just reaching and spending a ton of money on a guy that is not going to be that much better with Peyton and not having a whole new room of wide receivers.
Yeah, there's also just a ton of value that I don't think the average fan gets. And then I was this way too until I started talking to these guys. But coming back for another season,
it's big, man.
And coming back and not having to relearn everything, and he missed spring and all that, it's all important. So, Charlie, how can people check you out and everything you've got going on, and maybe get an update on your laundry now that it's done?
Yeah, time to go fold clothes. But find me on Twitter at _Charlie_5, the Locked On Auburn Discord every single day, the AuburnLive.com, the corner message board, Dad Bod Golf Pod weekly, and there may be something new coming up soon. So stay tuned.
Button those buttons, baby. You can check out all my written work at auburndaily.com, and we will see you tomorrow. This has been Locked On Auburn.